say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is one of those times where politicians sound like hypocrites, because Mark Kelly is right. Presidents should get congressional approval, but there have been a bunch of presidents who have ordered strikes without congressional approval. Barack Obama did it against Libya. Joe Biden ordered strikes in Iraq and Syria without congressional approval. Bill Clinton did it to Kosovo, I think you pronounce it. So presidents ordering military action without congressional approval has become pretty routine. So is it always a thing when they do it? I'm just asking. I don't know.
No. Well, this is where those articles of impeachment come up, and that's why House Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she actually says that President Trump's decision to strike Iran could lead to impeachment.
So why didn't I'm just saying? So why didn't it lead to impeachment for everybody else? Like when Barack Obama did it, when Biden did it,
but it has, not that it necessarily. Well, the people in Congress or congressional members will call for it. Does it necessarily mean that that they'll move forward with the impeachment process? Not necessarily, but there have been times in the past that these congressional members have called for impeachment of the president because of their military actions or actions that they've taken with the military without having that congressional.
It hasn't been this much backlash.
Yeah, I don't even remember hearing about it during the Joe Biden administration.
But I guess that's because the way Trump has been moving, but we haven't heard about it when Obama did it. We didn't hear about it when Biden did it.
I do remember when Obama did it. When Obama did it, I do remember, people in Congress saying he needed congressional approval and they were making it a thing. I don't remember the Biden thing at all. I don't remember that even making a headline.
I don't recall, but people were very upset about the way that he. That went without that. People were very upset about the way that he withdrew from Afghanistan. I mean, that was certainly a thing as well. I mean, they were it was a thing.
Yeah, the only reason I know about Biden because I read an article on NBC News last night that was literally about this. It was the headline was "Presidents ordering military action without congressional approval has become routine," and it talked about Biden citing Article Number 2 in the Constitution, which makes the president commander in chief. And I guess basically saying he don't need congressional approval. And that's when he ordered the strikes in Iraq and Syria.
Ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power. That is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles.
Because a nuclear Iran is a threat to our national security, and it's a threat to Israel's national security. We cannot afford to have a nuclear arms race in the most volatile region of the world. Iran's a state sponsor of terrorism, and for them to be able to provide nuclear technology to non-state actors, that's unacceptable. And they have said that they want to see Israel wiped off the map. So the offers Iran a choice. They can take the diplomatic route and end their nuclear program, or they will have to face a united world and a United States president, me, who said we're not going to take any options off the table.
Remember when Obama said the exact same thing about Iran not having nuclear weapons? We all used to agree that it was a bad idea for Iran to have nuclear weapons. Now we have people on the right, on the left, and even some on the right that think Iran is not that bad and that Israel is the real bad one. No, Iran is a terrorist nation. It's a nation of terrorists. They are radical. They believe in killing in the name of Allah. They believe that America deserves to be death to America. And they hate the Jewish people and believe their annihilation. They are, and listen to this, Obama even agreed.
To know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that, because that perhaps will deter them from doing something that would be reckless, foolish, and tragic.
First of all, Israel is a true friend. It is our greatest ally in the region. And if Israel is attacked, America will stand with Israel. As long as I'm President of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon. I made that clear when I came into office. It's to get Iran to recognize it needs to give up its nuclear program and abide by the UN resolutions that is. And we are going to continue to keep the pressure on to make sure that they do not get a nuclear weapon. That's in America's national interest, and that will be the case so long as I'm president.
He's buying himself some time in some room. I was also in the Holy Land very recently. I think progressives underestimate how dangerous Iran is. Iran is not a normal country. Normal countries don't blind women because they showed some hair. They don't empower little gangs and proxies to surround a country and fire rockets and rape people. So Iran, the two things are clear. The what, they cannot have a bomb, and the why, because they say death to America, death to Israel, and death to all the Jews. One of those should offend you if you're progressives. At least one should offend you. And so the question, though, is the who and the how. Is Israel going to take out this nuclear capacity by dropping people there who blow it up? Or is America going to take it out by dropping a bomb that blows it up? But the what and the why are clear, and I think progressives should get on board with that. We cannot have a nuclear-armed Iran. I was in the region. You were in the region. This is a very dangerous power that cannot get a nuclear weapon.
How soon we forget liberals and liberal Democrats, especially those up in Washington, D.C. And right on cue, liberal Bernie Sanders, AOC, Alejandro Mar, Rashida Tlaib, Cory Booker declared that President Trump's successful military strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites were grossly unconstitutional. Along with other Democrats, they argued that only Congress can grant such approval. What Sanders and his colleagues failed to recognize or remember is that Congress already granted consent for exactly the type of action that Donald Trump just deployed. Immediately after the attacks on September 11th, 2001, Congress passed a joint resolution known as the authorization of the use of military force, AUMF. It granted the president exclusive and extraordinary powers to target those groups and nations that he determines aided the terrorist attacks or harbored terrorists. And we're going to go deep into this. But first, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me. And for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you very much. Tonight's show is going to be a little shorter than normal because I am a little under the weather. I may not look it, but boy, I feel it. Me and my son, Michael, both started feeling bad Saturday night. Sunday was getting worse with just runny nose, sore throat, aches and pains. Basically feeling like something that the dog dug up in the backyard. So yesterday we went to urgent care. We both tested for COVID. His test came back positive, and mine right now is showing negative. So maybe it's too soon for mine to show up, whatever. COVID, the flu, cold, whatever you want to call it, that's what we're dealing with once again. So I slept a long, long time. I went to bed last night, probably about 9 o'clock, and I didn't get out of bed this afternoon until, 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I'm just exhausted. I've done nothing, but it's definitely wearing us down. We're both on the same kind of medications that they gave us to hopefully get ahead of this and put it behind. But anyhow, so let's continue to talk a little bit more about this craziness with these members of Congress. The stated goal was to prevent any further acts of international terrorism against the United States. One only needs to read the report of the 9/11 Commission to be reminded of Iran's complicity. For years, the government in Tehran actively aided and abetted attacks on America by offering al-Qaeda terrorists extensive training, intelligence, transit, logistics, weaponry, and funding. Some of the terrorists that Iran supported were the very same future 9/11 hijackers, the report explained. When the U.S. invaded Afghanistan, several al-Qaeda leaders fled to neighboring Iran, where they were given safe haven. This included Osama bin Laden, who was harbored by the mullahs, while he plotted even more attacks against Americans. On this basis alone, Trump's tactical military strikes against Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities were legally authorized and constitutionally justified. No advance coordination or approval by Congress is required. And thank God they kept it hush-hush because nothing leaked. Go figure. Imagine had we briefed the Democrats in advance. Now, yes, the president has X amount of hours, I think that's 48 hours, to let Congress know what he's doing. And he only has to let the leadership know, and he did that. Of course, then they turned around and said he didn't. The AUMF carries no expiration date. It has never been repealed, refined, or amended. It remains in full force as a delegated power to the President of the United States. And we've seen it done by Biden, by Obama. Few Democrats complained when President Obama utilized the AUMF on numerous occasions for military operations against Libya, Syria, al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and even ISIS. His robust use of the resolution further cemented its legacy. All three branches of the government, including the judiciary, affirmed its legitimacy and scope. And just to be clear, let's look at Obama's his first two terms from 2009 to 2017. He dropped 92,030 bombs on 7 countries: Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Yemen, and Somalia. And how many Democrats screamed, "Oh my gosh, that's impeachable. What's he doing? He's getting us into World War III. He can't do that." No, not a single one of them did. All three branches of the government, including the judiciary, affirmed that Obama was correct by what he did. Same thing with Biden, and same thing now with Donald Trump. President Biden invoked it to justify airstrikes in Iran against jihadist militants. Not a Democrat said anything about it. He defended it as his act of self-defense to protect American lives. He told Congress that his military actions was consistent with international law. And the Democrats just kept their mouth shut. Now, only because it's Trump who has taken aggressive steps against the world's largest sponsor of terrorism, his political-driven critics are howling like freaking wolves at the moon. Their hypocrisy should be lost on no one. Representative AOC Acosta-Cortez stated with confidence that Trump's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. Predictably, she pronounced that it is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. Presumably, AOC was referring to the 1973 Wars Power Resolution as a notification requirement, not something that prohibits a president's right to exert military action. Indeed, Trump complied by notifying Jeffries. And then somebody that Democrats didn't expect spoke up and said it's hardly an impeachable offense. And that would be the more reasonable Senator John Fetterman, Democrat, Pennsylvania, who wrote on X, "As I've long maintained, this was the correct move by the president. Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism and cannot have nuclear capabilities. I'm grateful for and salute the finest military in the world. The hysteria of the No Forever Wars crowd will inevitably lurch into a various constitutional debate. However, historical precedents and the constant use of the AUMF by Trump's predecessors uphold his decision to neutralize the enemy state that has long vowed the destruction of both Israel and the United States of America." Under Article 2 of the Constitution, the President, as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, is empowered to direct military operations to deter foreign threats to our national security. This has been well established over the course of our republic. A nuclear-armed Iran controlled by a maniac regime poses the ultimate peril. Trump had an affirmative duty to act preemptively. Dave Albright, one of the world's foremost experts on Iran's nuclear program, told the Wall Street Journal that Iran was dangerously close to atomic breakout. Before Saturday's night strike, he said that Iran could make enough weapons-grade uranium for 11 nuclear weapons within a month. There's a foregone conclusion that such bombs would be used against Israel, the United States, or both, as Iran has stated many, many times, to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Trump's decision to destroy nuclear sites throughout Iran was not an easy one, but it was bold and absolutely necessary. Simply waiting under extraordinary consequences would be irresponsible, if not reckless. Iran has a long and proven record of lying, cheating, and covering up its development of weapons of mass destruction. Their fanatical leaders cannot be trusted when so much is at stake. The president should be commended, not condemned, for neutralizing a growing menace in our society. The public enemy of the age of Trump militants and the party out of power reacts with imprudence, opposition, regardless of the known facts, the law, and the Constitution. We may never know how many millions of lives have been spared thanks to Donald J. Trump. There will be reprisals for sure, but they pale in comparison to the external risks that we're bearing down on America and our closest ally in the Middle East. The usual reactionaries will take to the streets to cascade Trump as a war criminal deserving of prosecution. And it's already happening, especially on places like YouTube. The liberals out there that are, experts on military operations in the Middle East are just spewing some absolute crazy nonsense. And what's sad is they've got millions of followers. Let them. Their fury is exceeded only by their ignorance. Trump's ordered strike was narrowed and limited and purposefully. Claims by some that the U.S. will become mirrored in another foreign quagmire with boots on the ground, is overwrought. No such action is merited or even contemplated at this point. Feverish predictions of World War III, a little more than unhinged rhetoric, just like the tariffs are going to destroy America and egg prices are going to be, $50 a dozen, and we're going to be paying, $100 for a gallon of gas, and you can't buy anything at Walmart. You walk into Walmart to buy anything, your normal household goods, and you're going to end up spending $500. I mean, that crazy shit that they spewed. Trump gave Iran every opportunity to peacefully forsake its nuclear ambitions. So did every other president since 1979. The Democrats want to impeach him despite the clear language of the AUMF, his inherent constitutional authority, and the substance of history. They can certainly try. But I tend to doubt that America will look favorably on yet another dubious impeachment. Doing what is right is not always the easiest thing to do, but doing nothing can be worse. Thank you, Greg Jarrett, for those very well spoken words. Now, let's remember how we got here. In 2010, as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton supplied Iran with uranium to enrich their nuclear program. It was peaceful. In 2016, Obama gave Iran $1.7 billion that they used to fund their peaceful nuclear program. And in 2022, President Biden unfroze the $16 billion in funds that Trump had frozen so they couldn't use that money to keep supplying weapons to support terrorist attacks across the world and also continue with their nuclear program to make a nuclear weapon to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. That's how we got here, folks. Now, look, let me tell you something. Let me get a little personal about this for a moment. All right? And I want you to listen to what I'm going to say very closely, regardless of your political party or regardless of how you feel about this. Whether it's what's happening with Iran or what we've seen happen in any of the other places like Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Hamas, Gaza, I don't care, okay? And I'm telling you this as somebody with a little bit of experience, somebody that's deployed 4 separate times to combat operations for this country. I've said this thousands of times, and I'm going to say it again. If you're going to send American service members into harm's way, you finish the damn job. You don't do something half-ass as we did in the withdrawal from Vietnam, as we did in the withdrawal from North Korea, as we did in the withdrawal from Desert Storm, Somalia, and Afghanistan. Otherwise, the next generation of our youth will have to come back and clean it up and put boots in danger again. While I'll support our military actions in the past 72 hours against Iran, I don't support doing it half-ass. Finish the job. Completely destroy their military forces once and for all. Their Air Force, their Navy, their Revolutionary Guard, and their traditional army. Take out all of their ammunition plants, from small arms to rockets and missiles. Take out all their nuclear facilities. There's still a few we didn't hit. And for God's sake, find and destroy all of the vehicles that our drones and satellites watched, removing nuclear-grade uranium from the site that we dropped the huge mother-of-all bombs on. That's right. Have you seen that yet? It's CNN showing it, Fox is showing it, ABC, they're all showing it. Satellite images and drone images. This was taking place like Friday, last Friday, as we're getting ready to go drop this bomb on that major site that we got to get rid of, where the most of this nuclear program was to build bombs. All of a sudden, hundreds of vehicles are pulled up, trucks. They're pulling up there and they're taking stuff out of that cave and putting in these trucks, and they're driving away. And we don't know where they went or what they took. What do you think they took? Sand? You can't make this shit up if you tried. Take out all their nuclear facilities. Find where they went with these vehicles and kill them too. Take away their ability to wage war against Westerners. If you're unable to do this simple task, then stop sending our troops into harm's way. President Trump, we must make sure Iran is unable to continue their nuclear weapons program and continue to supply terrorist groups with weapons and money. And as I speak, the president is in the Netherlands for the NATO summit, which is going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, especially Russia and Ukraine. Now it's all about this. And I'm not alone in this. I'm not coming down on Trump. I like what he did so far, but you don't stop and let them continue to be able to do this again. Ask any military veteran out there that's deployed to combat operations for this country, especially in the Middle East. They're going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. Why? I mean, what's the big talk right now? What if Iran shuts down the strait of, shuts down all the waters off their coast there, where all the oil has to go through? Then it's going to skyrocket oil prices. You know what they start? They can only do that with their naval forces. Their naval forces that have been attacking our forces for quite some time now, and other forces and oil tankers from other countries trying to get into Saudi Arabia, for instance, or bring oil to other parts of Europe. Why did we not take out other naval forces? Why are we doing this half-ass? I get it. We want peace in the Middle East. You can't do that it's never going to happen if you allow Iran to survive military-wise. It's just not going to happen. They can't be trusted. So, the House voted along partisan lines to squash progressive lawmakers' bid to impeach Donald Trump this evening. Lawmakers agreed to table the measure in a 344-79 vote. A vote to table is a procedural mechanism allowing the House members to vote against consideration of a bill without having to vote on the bill itself. The resolution was offered by none other than Representative Al Green, Democrat of Texas, who you may remember was ejected from Trump's address to a joint session of Congress earlier this year for repeatedly interrupting the president. A majority of House Democrats joined Republican lawmakers today to kill Green's resolution, a sign of how politically caustic the effort appears to be. Just 79 Democrats voted to proceed with the impeachment vote, while 128 Democrats voted to halt it in its tracks because they're smart enough to realize that Trump has done absolutely nothing that's an impeachable offense. And all these liberal Democrats up in Washington, D.C. need to read the Constitution. You're a member of Congress, for crying out loud, and you don't have a clue what's coming out of your pie hole. Not a clue. Liberals will join Republicans, liberal Democrats, included all three members of the House Democrat leadership. Go figure. House Majority Leader Hankum Jeffries, House Minority Whip Catherine Clark, House Democrat Chairman Pete Aguilar voted to table the measure. They voted against the liberal Democrats. Green, who has threatened to impeach Trump before, said his latest bid is aimed at the president's strike on Iran over the weekend as it's unconstitutional. I did not come to Congress to be a bystander while a president abuses power and dissolves American democracy into authoritarianism with himself as an authoritarian president, Green said in a statement this morning. President Trump's unauthorized bombing of Iran constitutes a de facto declaration of war. No president has the right to drag this nation to war without the authorization of people's representatives. Of course, other progressives join along with him because, they know all about this shit. Alexander Ocasio-Cortez called for Trump's impeachment over the strikes of Iran. Trump mocked those progressives in a lengthy Truth Social post Tuesday, taunting them to make my day. She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice, Trump wrote. She and her Democrat friends have just hit the lowest poll numbers in congressional history and going ahead and trying to impeach me, he posted. The push has put House Democrat leaders in a difficult spot as well. Jeffries sidestepped questions on progressives calling to oust Trump during a press conference yesterday. A tool that's on the table right now is to continue to demand that the administration present itself before the United States Congress and make the case to the American people as to why this extraordinary step has been taken. That's step one, Jeffrey said. You already know the answer to that question, you fucking idiot. Step two is for the War Powers Resolution. Whether that's the one that has already been introduced or others that may be included or involved, for those resolutions to be debated on the House floor, as should have occurred already. No, it shouldn't have. And then we'll see. We'll see where we go after that. Pressed again on whether he was taking calls for Trump's impeachment seriously, Jeffrey said, this is a dangerous movement that we're in. We've got to get through what's in front of us. And what's in front of us right now is the Trump administration has responsibility to Congress, justifying actions for which we're seeing no evidence justify its offensive strength in Iran. Then why didn't you vote along with those other 72 Democrats to impeach Trump? What are you doing, Jeffries? You can't have it both ways. Is Trump right because he did the same thing that Obama did? He did the same thing that Biden did? Or is he wrong? And just because you all have Trump derangement syndrome, Trump is breaking the Constitution. But Biden and Obama didn't. That's hypocrisy 101. That's stuck on stupid. And then, to make matters worse, Biden-era open border policies have ignited concerns that Iranian sleeper cells could be lying in wait inside the U.S., eager to retaliate after tensions with the U.S. reached the boiling point over the weekend. and the prospect has officials on high alert. Border Czar Tom Homan called it the biggest national security vulnerability the U.S. has ever seen. You know who else called it that? During Biden-Harris administration, their own FBI Director Christopher Wray testified in front of Congress, and I showed it right here on this show to you, testified that what keeps him up at night is how many Middle Eastern that are terrorists we allowed into this country that are waiting to make what happened on 9/11 look like a 4th of July fireworks display. It's a significant threat, he said. The average under the Biden administration every single day was 1,800 known gotaways. These are people we knew came to the United States and entered illegally. We don't know who they are, where they came from, why they're here, but they've got to go away, and we have to find them. Homan stressed that the sleeper cell prospect has been one of his top concerns for years. Now, the Trump administration is focused on cleaning up the mess left by previous administrations, an effort that started with securing the border. We knew we had a big job to do, and we're working on it, he said. Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf echoed Homan in citing the countless numbers of unidentified foreign nationals who poured across our southern border under former President Biden's tenure. This is a real concern, and unfortunately, 4 years of the Biden administration will eventually have consequences, Wolf said during an appearance on America's Newsroom today. Speaking to guest host Bill Margolin, he warned that Hezbollah and Hamas and others are already in the United States. We'll see if they're activated. We'll see if they're inspired. The FBI and local law enforcement, I know they're doing everything that they can, he added. A senior U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer source recently revealed that over 1,500 Iranian nationals who illegally entered the U.S. at our southern border were arrested under the Biden administration, and nearly 50% of them were then released back into our country. This has treason written all over it. Not only for those in the Biden administration, Biden himself, Harris, but that absolute subhuman Mongol that ran the Department of Homeland Security, Maracas, or however you pronounce that idiot's name. Hours after President Trump addressed the nation about his successful military strikes against key Iran nuclear sites over the weekend, the DHS issued a memo sounding the alarm on the highest threat environment in the U.S. The bulletin came as Iranian officials warned of retaliation against the U.S. And then, you may recall, we talked about it right here on this show, when not just Christopher Wray, but when James Comey, the head of the FBI, also testified that there were Middle Eastern terrorist groups in America, sleeper cells. And what did the Democrat liberals up in Washington, D.C. say about it? Attorney General Pam Bondi was questioned yesterday during a House budget hearing about Iran nationals who entered the country illegally during the Biden administration after the Trump administration warned the conflict with Iran raised threat levels in the United States. Representative Tony Gonzalez asked if the Attorney General knew how many Iranian nationals in the United States have been convicted of crimes. Bonnie said she was unsure, but that more than 1,000 entered the country during the last administration. And I can tell you, we're on high alert, and everyone is looking at that very closely, Bondi said. U.S. Border Patrol arrested 1,504 Iranians at the southern border during President Joe Biden's term, and nearly half of them, at least 729, were released back into the United States. And that's according to the CBP, Customs and Border Protection. Bondi's remarks echoed those of the Department of Homeland Security, which issued a notice the day prior that the Iran conflict is causing a heightened threat environment in the United States. And they're concerned that independently mobilizing forces to violence, if Iran leaders were to call for it. The department also said cyber attacks and incidents of anti-Semitism are increasing. Bondi was asked about the sleeper cells, to which the Attorney General said she could not talk about that in the current setting. They could talk about it in a closed hearing. The line of questioning during the hearing about the Department of Justice budget proposal for the upcoming fiscal year came aimed at rapid involving conflict of the Middle East that Trump chose to intervene over the weekend. DOJ brought an indictment against 3 men just last year in connection with a murder-to-hire scheme that allegedly originated in Iran involving assassinating President Trump before the 2024 election, as well as killing a journalist. One of the men remains at large in America, and we don't know where he's at. He is an Afghan national, but was allegedly paid by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, an Iranian-based militant group. The charges announced today expose Iran's continued brazen attempt to target U.S. citizens, including, once again, Donald Trump and government leaders, and anyone who criticizes the regime in Tehran. FBI Director Christopher Wray at the time said during his tenure that they are a direct threat to we the people in America. And it's not if it's going to happen, it's when is it going to happen. You can go to my website, douglasducote.com, and you can actually see when we went down and did our border documentaries, when we came across Arabic garb going, holy geez, look at this shit. It's all on video. And then we took it to the Border Patrol, and we met with the union leader there and told him about it, and he shared with us. Yeah, we got all these Iranians coming across the border. I've been warning about this for a long damn time. And I've been calling for us to take military action since 1979. And finally, we did something, along with Israel, although not what I think we should have done. It should have been a shocking all with NATO. It should have been eliminate Iran's nuclear capability and their military capability, just wipe it away to where it does not exist anymore. That is the only way peace comes to the Middle East. Iran is the sponsor for money and weapons to all these terrorist organizations: ISIS, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah, and they're also responsible for the deaths of American service members in Iraq and Afghanistan. With the weapons that were used against us came from Iran. And yet here we are tonight. Their navy's not been destroyed. Their ammunition plants have not been destroyed. Some of their nuclear facilities and testing sites have not been destroyed. Hell, after Trump announced the ceasefire that was going to take place, within X amount of hours, Israel went, okay, fuck it. Let's go take out as much shit as we can before the ceasefire. And then Trump got all upset and told them to stop. Pull the planes back. Don't do that. Well, that should make the liberal Democrats happy, right? Sure as fuck don't make me happy, because we should have eliminated these bastards once and for all. Wipe them away. That's the only way we have a good outcome with this. Maybe the Ayatollah is not going to come to a understanding to do away with his nuclear program. And maybe in the next 24, 48 hours, we will see U.S. bombers finishing the job. But, you know, if we would have partnered with Israel, along with those that were willing to join this, Europe, many countries, Britain, Canada, even Saudi Arabia would have helped supply aircraft. And in a matter of just 5 days, there would be nothing left to Iran as far as their military operation is concerned. But tonight, they still have a very good percentage of their military operation intact. And I don't understand that. I cannot wrap my head around the insanity of that. And the other thing I can't wrap my head around the insanity of is this piece of shit right here. See that jackass sitting on a jackass? That is a Georgetown University professor who happens to be in hot water right now over his social media post, where he explained his hope for Iran doing some symbolic strike on a U.S. military base, igniting backlash on social media and calls for him to be fired. I'm not an expert, but I assume Iran could still get a bomb easily. Dr. Jonathan Brown, Yalri Biden Pala Chair of the Islamic Civilization in the School of Foreign Services at Georgetown University, posted on X Sunday after the U.S. struck Iranian nuclear sites on Saturday. I hope Iran does some symbolic strikes on U.S. military bases. Then everyone stop. I'm surprised this is what these FDD Hasbro people have been autoerotically sophisticating themselves for all these years. Ironically, the main takeaway in my non-expert opinion, and I'm happy to be corrected, from all this having nothing to do with a U.S. attack. Number one, Iran can take a licking. Number two, if Israel attacks Iranian citizens or cities, it gets fucked up pretty bad. I mean, I've been shocked at the damage Iranian missiles caused. Number three, despite his best efforts, Riaz Pahlavi's HVAC repair service, still only third best in Nova. Many conservatives on social media immediately reacted to the post, interpreted as the college professor wishing for Iran to attack U.S. soldiers or at least put them in harm's way. Are you kidding me? Conservative commentary, Sage Still, posted on X in response to the post, being picked up by the conservative influencers accounts, libs of TikTok. Professor of Islamic civilization at Georgetown hopes Iran does some symbolic strikes against America. Representative Randy Fine posted on X, some civilization. The president of Georgetown will be before at workforce committee soon. The demon had better be gone by then. We have a Muslim problem in America. The Georgetown professor wants Iran to attack U.S. military bases. Foundation of the Defense for Democracy CEO Mark Dumbricks posted on X before providing information on the background of Brown's wife. That's right, that jackass sitting right there on the top of the jackass is married to Lalila Al-Habrahi, a journalist for the Muslim Brotherhood propaganda outlet Al Jazeera. Her father, Samia Azarexis, was deported from the U.S. to Turkey. He was accused of providing material support to the U.S. designated an Iran-backed terrorist organization, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. This professor's father-in-law was deported from the U.S. to Turkey in 2015 after a long battle where he pleaded guilty to supporting Palestinian Islamic Jihadist terrorist organizations. That was posted in Politico, as well as CNN and Fox and ABC, CBS, and NBC. In 2006, Department of Justice press release said he acknowledged in the plea agreement that he knew the PIJ used acts of violence as a means to achieve its objectives. Nevertheless, he continued to assist terrorist organizations, for instance, by filling official paperwork to obtain immigration benefits for PIJ associates Bashar Nafia and concealing the terrorist association of various individuals associated with the PIJ. That, my friends, is an American terrorist married to an American terrorist whose father is a terrorist. And why is he not in jail right now and deported? Get him out of here, Pam Bondi. Kash Patel, are you not paying attention to what the fuck this guy's saying? He's a college professor in America, an American citizen. Look at this white boy. He has no Muslim in him whatsoever, no radical and terrorism in him whatsoever, other than when he has sex with his Muslim terrorist wife. What are we doing? Why are we allowing this jackass to continue warping the brains of our college students across this nation? Anyhow, you see the mess we're in, right? I went longer than I thought I was. I figured I'd only make it 30 minutes, but damn it, I got so passionate that I'm actually feeling better right now. I got some of the demon COVID out of me, I guess. I don't know. Still got a runny nose happening, as you probably hear me sniffling. Oh, boy. Anyhow, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me. I thank you for that. I appreciate it very, very much. If you haven't already done so, whether you're watching me tonight on YouTube or Rumble or X, formerly Twitter or LinkedIn, please like and subscribe to the program and share it with your family and friends, as well as go to douglasducote.com, our website. Check out those border documentaries and see for yourself what we exposed down there, especially the part on radical Islamic terrorist. We were showing you that in 2020, folks. Here we are 5 years later, and they're here waiting to kill us. I'll be back on Thursday, unless I get sicker. I hope not. Knock on wood. And I hope you will join me. Something breaks of major importance, I will either do a live program about it between now and then or put out a video about it. I do have some funny things I want to share with you at the closing of tonight's show. So right as I go to sign out here in just a matter of seconds, don't go anywhere, because I want you to see something. It's, I think, just something that's very special that you just, it is an inside view of a liberal Democrat family sitting down at their dinner table talking about how things are going in their lives. And with all the craziness that we're having right now, I'm going to leave you with that at the end of this show so that you can have a laugh. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. And stand by, folks, to laugh at a liberal Democrat family enjoying dinner.
So if there's anything that you want to talk about, any kind of secrets or stories or fibs, now's the time to put it on the table, okay? And if you tell me and your mom, we're not going to be mad.
I said the Lord's name in vain at school.
Mm-hmm. I said I wasn't going to get angry, and I'm not angry.
I went to the petting zoo and I let the goat lick my penis.
No, that
I know, honey. You promised you wouldn't get mad, okay? They're being honest.
Okay, maybe hopefully that's it.
I had a beer with the old biker man at the end of the street, and he let me touch his old lady's titty. First, I go to the mall and hide in the stairwell and take photos of women's skirts. I have a whole book of cooter shots under my bed. One time I put a firefly in my butthole.
Why?
To make my farts glow. I shaved the dog and glued the hair to my nutsack so I looked like a grown man.
I touched myself to Drew Carey on The Price is Right.